like to welcome each and every individual to Two Voices of Integrity podcast for the Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training. Let's dive right in. Nora, what you got?
I had 27% yesterday.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Kenny, what you got?
Can't think of anything right now.
Luke, what you got?
How do you train your customers where, like, after 5 o'clock, we don't communicate, or I don't know. I've heard the phrase of 5 to 8, money's great, but I would prefer, like, to work from 5 to 8 in the morning with our customers instead of sales. But seemingly it doesn't work like that.
Can somebody else help me understand what Luke is saying?
Are you talking 5 to 8 in the morning?
Yeah, that's when I'd like prefer to be in contact with our customers versus 5 to 8 in the evening. Like it seems like a lot of sales happen or not close, or a lot of contact with the customers happen at after, or maybe not most of it after 5 in the evening. Like, how do you train your, or is it just something where in sales you just that just comes with the job or with the
I mean, if they've got work, they're 9 to 5, they're working, then they probably won't be in contact with you until after work. So I don't know that you can train them to or change their response time.
Nora? Kevin?
Yeah, not sure.
Kevin?
Yeah.
Any thoughts for Luke?
No.
Empathy, they say, is the highest form of knowledge because it requires us to get rid of our ego, put put us in, help us to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. So, Luke, what does that mean to you?
it's like put ourselves in the customer's shoe or
Right. So how does that help you in translating, this? Like, how does this apply to what you're saying now?
it's like that or kind of suck it up or
Well, why?
customer service maybe.
But what's your see? So how hard has it been for me to go ahead and acclimate myself to the Amish way of life, to working with Amish people? How different are the Amish than the English?
Probably very.
Yeah. And what's one of the biggest differences between the Amish in northern Indiana and the English?
The time they work.
And when do the Amish tend to work in northern Indiana?
Early in the morning.
Yeah. I'm a late night person. I mean, that's when my body clocks. I mean, I'm just built to work after 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Fortunately, I got out in front of that situation when I was in my mid 30s. So I learned to change it. So now, I mean, as long as I get 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night, it doesn't matter. I can get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, it's fine. I just go make sure I get to bed an hour earlier. But that's not normal for most English. And um, yeah, it's hard. That doesn't mean you don't try. But it's hard, especially with prospects. Customers, what could you go ahead if you're dealing with customers? What could you potentially say to them? What could you potentially say to them that helps them to go ahead and move to your schedule?
Don't know.
So, we like to have a full productive day in serving you as our customers. And so if don't be afraid to call us like at 5 o'clock in the morning. We're after it. So in the English world, getting up early and starting early, there is the saying in the English world, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Now that's maybe just with my Dutch background or maybe my age. I don't know how prevalent that is in the younger people now. But a lot of younger people now, they're gaming at night or they're watching Netflix at night. They're playing at night and they wonder why they have a hard time getting up early because they don't get to bed. And so, other questions, Luke?
No.
Okay. All right. Kevin, anything you got, sir?
Well, yesterday I was reading the Kind versus Nice,
Yeah.
and I had a question on that. So if someone was helping me and he messed up, I would kind of take accountability for it. Was that, and that made me question that. Like, am I supposed to do that?
Right. 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 Like, I've wondered in the last, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years, if I'm too good of a husband and too good of a husband and too good of a father. What I mean by that is I wonder if I've overserved my wife and overserved my children. Like, it's fascinating to me, Kevin. Like, once, I don't know what it was, probably about 7, 8 years ago, I'm guessing. My one of my daughters, older daughters, she was married, just had gotten married, and she had a marathon in Indiana. And I was going through a pretty stressful time work-wise. Like, I was working weekends. I mean, I had a lot on my plate. I told my wife, like, hey, got a lot on my plate. And I mean, my wife just went ahead and said, I mean, we're going to Melissa's marathon, right? I'm like, honey, like, what are you thinking? She's like, what? I'm like, it's like a 2-hour drive. It's like 4 hours plus being there. Like, she's got a husband. Like, he can go. Like, sweetheart, I'm kind of like still have food to put on the table. And so I've seen this in leadership too, Kevin. It's a brilliant question because the challenge is in leadership, when you take personal ownership, everybody else is going to give you ownership. When your wife and kids, when you take personal ownership, they'll throw you under the bus. Yep, it's your fault, Dad. Yep, it's your fault, honey. You get stronger, they don't. And then all of a sudden you can become more of a distance. So one of our clients, Al Williamson, he was Dan Graham, he was the sales manager, and he went ahead, and this is over 20 years ago, and and he went ahead and said to me, he says, Mark, this is when we had like 22 employees. And he said to me, he says, Mark, he said, you have amazing employees. They work hard. They're conscientious, honest. They're good people. I'm like, okay, good. He says, they're not anything close to you. Not even, I mean, not even close. They're not even in the same boat. That's an indictment not on the team members. It's an indictment on me because I'm not developing them fast enough. Then we brought on, an executive assistant, Natalie, and she was sharp. Like, holy cow, was she sharp. And when she started, plugging into the account, he came up to me and he said, Natalie's the closest thing to you, Mark. She was like 17 years younger than I was. But he's like, she's sharp. Like, she pays attention and she listens and she does, like, she's much higher level. She had her master's degree in psychology. She was a funny lady. Anyways, so yeah, you've got to go ahead and be careful with that, Kevin. You want to take ownership and you hope other people say, oh, Kevin's taking ownership. Somehow life masteries, like with EVAs. One of the reasons I love working with EVAs is it's born and bred, like in their very DNA from day one, take ownership. So I can't even tell you how many times Ginger Ann or Elise or Elaine or others, the EVA, it's like Elise, there's multiple times, like it's been 90% my fault. And she'll take ownership. Elaine and I, we have this game that we play. She'll take ownership. I'm like, you can't take ownership. No, like I'm taking you. And so what's so cool about working with EVAs is they think like business owners. They're trained like business owners. So everybody takes ownership. Everybody looks and say, how is this my responsibility? And so it would be a great one, and it might be the next one, Kevin, on the Life GPS and the culture. I mean, that is a really good one. Being a great team member, like that might be the next one that we do, like for Friday. Man, is that good. Teach them all to take ownership. I would say it's good what you're doing is taking ownership, but be careful because you're going to grow and the people who don't take ownership won't, and they'll let you take ownership. And so ideally you have somebody else that's an advocate, somebody else, Luke or Kenny or somebody saying, when they see it, they say, okay, Kevin took ownership. Well, whoever, Nathan or whoever the other person is, like, are you seeing it? Do you see how it's partly your responsibility too? You could have avoided this. If you have to do both, Kevin, you teach the principle, like you get them to watch this. We do a podcast on it, like a 10-minute podcast on teaching that one. And you make sure every team member goes through that. And then they share reflection. And then you have to go ahead and keep on them. Because human nature, it seems, Kevin, that people won't take ownership. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So where do you think you've learned most of the things that you know? Do you think it's your parents? Do you think it's your grandparents, somebody else? Do you think it was innate in you when you were a child? Like, do you think it's being married? Like, what do you think?
I would say I would learn most of my stuff from my mom.
Nice. Would she be willing to do a podcast?
I doubt that, but
So, yeah, we need to do that for her benefit too. So my mom, she was reluctant to do podcasts too. She's like, Mark, I don't really know anything. I'm like, so moms, like, the Bible, use the Bible passage on her. Hey, mom, the Bible says older women are supposed to teach younger women. Like, no, I'm serious. So she has a gift. She's probably like my mom. And so she probably, and so you even bringing her up and saying it, that says a lot for you and for your mom. And so, we'll work on that seriously. So there's the one, I don't know how early she gets up. There's the young men. There's the young men on Fridays, and boy, would I love to have her on that. And I just ask her some questions. If she wanted the questions ahead of time, I could give her the questions. And but she would be helping. She would be helping so many young men out there. It'd be insane. And you'd be on too. And so we go back and forth, son and mom, and kind of go back and forth. And so the ones that are most humble, they're often the ones that have the most to give. And then it would help other young moms too. And young moms, they need more help now than they've ever needed, Kevin. I'm telling you, those kids get access to the internet. They get access to TV, Netflix. They get access to stuff. And it makes it so much harder. So anything else, Kevin, you got, sir?
No.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? Okay. So on graphing and charts here, if we get rid of this one here, whatever that one is. So this one here on graphs and charts, when you have something, an outlier that this is high, you don't see like, you don't see like if we have Nora, if this was out, there would be a bigger diversity. You'd see a bigger cycle. And what you want to see in sales is you want to see a bigger cycle. And so Luke went up and then he went down. Now he's going back up again. You want ceilings and floors. You want ceilings and floors. You want to go ahead and move your sales up. To move your sales up, you either have to do one of two things. Well, one of three things. Ooh, I've never thought of this before. What are the three things you can do to significantly move your sales up? So one is what?
Increase your closing percent.
So that I would categorize in efficiencies. So if you improve your efficiencies, which is really, how you think. So it's how you think. If you improve your efficiencies, the sales closing rate should be one of those. There's many of those things, but one of those is going to be your sales closing ratio. So one is working smarter. What's another one?
Working harder.
Working harder.
Quantity.
Yeah. So it's working harder. Often you have to work harder to work smarter. And what people do in sales is they go into what I call the death spiral. They get discouraged, they have some hits, and they work a little less, and then they work a little less, and then they work a little less, and they go into a death spiral, and they get knocked out of sales. And so working harder. So when my wife and my kids are sacrificing because I'm working more hours in sales, I'm going to learn a lot more because if I care about my wife and kids, if I have empathy for my wife and kids, I'm going to learn more. If I'm not going hunting, fishing, if I'm not relaxing, if I'm not playing, if I'm not getting a dopamine hit, if I'm doing that, rather, if I'm doing sales, if I'm sacrificing something personally for sales. So I think I shared, but Kevin hasn't heard it. So, the first 3 months in sales, I worked hard, and I had a new baby. I had a new baby and coming along, and a pregnant wife. And so it was hard balancing everything, really hard, and Rosanna was struggling, so she was struggling, and because I'm putting in a lot of hours, and her mom gave her great advice and said, "Suck it up, Buttercup. He's not out partying. He's not out playing golf. He's not out goofing around. He's trying to build an economic engine for you and your family. So suck it up, Buttercup. Like, don't be needy. Like, you know what? He's building a future for you." Her dad gave her equally good advice and said to her, "You need to tell him where you're at. You need to communicate where you're at." So both are good advice. Mom was hard on her. Dad said, "Hey, he got to know because he might not know." And so both are, really, really good. And so when you sacrifice yourself personally, there's something like that, if you're working 9 hours a day and you do that extra hour, that you can accomplish more in that extra hour than you can the whole day in learning and pushing. So, I've shared this story before, but it bears repeating. So Synergy had been in business 9 months, I think. We were getting killed. It was brutal. And the whole week was just terrible. Not any sales, things aren't going anywhere. Saturday, I came in, made calls, wasn't working. And I made that one call at like 5 o'clock or 5:05. And I'm discouraged and I feel like quitting. And that one call introduced me to Jack Eastman, and that changed everything. So I think back on that one call, and I think if I hadn't made that one call on a Saturday at 5:05, if I hadn't made that one call, if I'd cut off early, if I'd given up, like 3 feet from gold, we're talking one call from death, like in a business. And so it's just like exercise. Your first 10 reps, you get a certain amount of benefit. But the last two or three, those will give you more strength, more muscle strength than the first 10 or 20 or 30. And so, one of the things that Nora's working on is stamina. So, when we went on the river rafting trip with Ben, I said, "Hey, what were you thinking on the trip?" And he said, "I was thinking it's really cool, Dad, that I have a 62-year-old dad. He can go on a class 5 and he can keep up. He's fine. And he can hike with me and he's fine." And I think most of that, playing pickleball as much as I do, that helps without question. But even without that, I would be able to do it. It's my mind. It's how I think. It's the mental stamina that I have because of my mind, because of how I work and how I play. Like I work hard, play hard, marriage, like kids, like I am, like I just work really hard, do things I don't want to do. And when I feel like giving up, I don't. Like I just work. I push through things, and I've done that my whole life. And so in sales and owning your own company and making breakthroughs to the next level. So the first is going to be probably work hard, unbelievably hard. You think you're working hard, like Chi Tran, he was in technology and he shadowed me for a week. And he said, every team member that we have, Mark, should shadow you. He said, I've never seen anybody that works like you, ever. Like, you are a machine. And so work hard. You'll be fine. You won't die. You'll be fine. Make sacrifices. Like, you'll appreciate what you have more when you sacrifice. So work hard, crazy hard. Work smart. Work really smart. One of the partners in Synergy, Dave Haas, he said, Mark, just because you work 80 hours a week doesn't mean you're doing as much, doing twice as much work as me doing 40 hours a week. I laughed. I said, that's true, Dave. But if I'm twice as efficient as you are and I'm working 80 hours, I'm 4 people to you, buddy. So first is work harder. 2 is work smarter. 3 is leverage. And so going through the course is a great first step, but are you really leveraging things? Are you leveraging referral partners? So yesterday I went to a Haystack, dinner. I went to swim lessons. We were the last person at the Haystack, came in 5 minutes before. I told, Elaine and Ira, the reason we came late is because we felt that your Haystack was going to be like Jesus and the wine. And the wedding, we felt that the food was going to be better at the end than beginning. They laughed. And then AJ Lambright, I believe it is, the egg guy. And so I said, I see him there every time. I said, what my number one most important thing and why I come here, he's like, to see me. I said, exactly. Because I want to get an update on the egg business. What's going on the egg business? He's just fascinating. So, I talked to him, that one connection. So I'm always looking for business opportunity. It's just fun. He sat down and talked. All the tables got picked up. He and I are still talking with Jason and Luke's brother-in-law. He was sitting there too. And so there's all kinds of business opportunities all over the place, everywhere. So working on getting him to do a podcast, and he recommended another guy and then his plant manager. So there's a whole bunch. He said, yeah, give me a call. He bought 86 acres, I think, on the river somewhere. And so he invited me over. So there's just so many opportunities, and he's Amish. And so there's so many opportunities out there. It's absolutely crazy. So always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.